Hey, all right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Last House on the Left. This is where I chop it up with my friends, kill time, and speak what's on my mind. And today, or tonight rather, I guess it's already getting late, we have, watch your headphone, Jeff. We have Jeff Damon in the house. Jeff, you've been an old friend, man. We actually did this podcast, we did it about, what was it? I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I, big surprise. I had problems with the audio and whatever, but the storage is good. The phone itself is good, so we're ready to get back at it. It was kind of a wild podcast. We talked about a lot of things, man. So
reaching.
Yeah. So hopefully we get just as crazy and even a little bit conspiracy theory as we did last time. So, did you listen to the podcast I had with my friend Guy at all? He was the flat earther. How far did you get in?
You actually, the way that you sent it to me, it came over right at the end when you were talking.
Oh, okay, great. The last 30 minutes or so?
Yeah. So I listened to it. I was at work, so I only listened to about 9-10 minutes of it.
Nice.
But, it's very wise of him to be as circumspect as he is and not just, declare one way or another. That's the way I'm going to try to be tonight as well, because I tell you that I don't think, because this world, is so full of lies, it's so impossible for us to really know until the day comes when all this is revealed. We don't really know. I mean, we all have, the conspiracy theories and everything like that. There's a tremendous amount of evidence that makes people question what they're told, and that's what causes people to get anxious. They're looking at stuff and they automatically know that this doesn't ring true. You know how truth has a ring to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when these people think they're being so clever, but their lies are so transparent to somebody, especially people that are seeking after the truth, you wind up having a nose for it. So it's sort of like when something doesn't ring true, if it doesn't line up with, be it the Bible, the character of God, or even just the character of your friends. If your friends aren't kind of like being honest with you about something, it's like, hey, do you like my beard? You like my new beard? Oh yeah, it looks great, Jeff. Yeah.
Right.
It takes somebody that really doesn't like you to come up and say, hey, you growing a beard? Looks good.
I feel that. Hey, just for my OCD as well, can you just kind of braid the back end of the cord of the mic? Yeah, it's just gonna make me.
Oh yeah, because I was picked it up and it almost fell out of its stand on you.
No, you're good. I was
really
every once in a while I could have braided it a little bit. Yeah, that's fine or whatever.
Yeah, I took it out of its holder.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm still pretty low on subscribers when it comes to Spotify. It's pretty new. Are you a Spotify guy?
I am.
Excuse me.
I'm not sure if I did click you. I think I did.
Okay.
But I'll double check to make sure I subscribe to.
Yeah. No, so I'm trying to do more. I think Spotify is the best one because you can either listen to just the audio or you can listen to the audio and video, like whether you're on the app
Spotify as well, because I didn't know that you could opt for the video on Spotify.
Yeah, so if you just go look on Spotify and you click on the last, actually all of them, but especially the last 5 or 6 podcasts, I do have like the actual audio and the video. So I always like the video because sometimes, like, depending upon what you're talking about or whatever, like if there's something we want to pull up on the monitor here, we can also do that, or any audio or stuff. So
my dinner.
But it was
it'll come out on the audio.
Yeah.
Remember to listen for it if you got an editing software.
Yeah. There's so many cool editing software that I can do with just through Logic with different voices, like a monster vocal or like a water echoey, like you're in like a cavern type, just really cool effects, which I'm like, I really want to.
Does it have any like scrubbers or erasers or like insert silences or any of that stuff? Yeah. Beautiful stuff.
Another cool thing about Logic too is that you can have an audio file, and then even so, like as for doing something like a podcast where you don't know exactly how long it's going to go on for, like if you have a song or whatever, you can like increase the amount of measures as much as you want. But when you do a podcast or whatever, it automatically trims the silence at the end of the whole song. So it's nice.
You selected that format type thing, so it knows what you're doing. That's pretty cool.
So even like, I don't know, we're like 3 or 4 minutes in right now. We're at measure 185 or whatever. But I finally figured it out just like 3 weeks ago how to record the vocal in free tempo. So it's not. So you'll hear the Logic will naturally, because Logic is made for like more music than people also do podcasting through Logic and whatever. But when it comes to the overall use of Logic, even now, like the tempo is or the metronome is like going right now, but it's actually not applying the actual vocal when it's here. So that's why it's free tempo, which is what we want. So I can sync it up with the camera so easily, because that's trouble I always have all the time with editing and whatnot. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of software navigation stuff that is so neat, so powerful nowadays. Back in the day, probably 15, 20 years ago, I had a program called Sony SoundForge. I think it was 10. I have no idea what they're up to now. But I love that program. It's very powerful. Could do a lot of mastering stuff. And then the computer it was on died.
Oh.
Couldn't find the disc. So, well.
Rough, man.
Yep. Life in the big city.
Hey, since so we'll obviously probably, just for the sake of, I mentioned this earlier before we went on the air. We'll probably go over a couple topics or aspects of things we covered in our first episode that was never recorded. But yeah, man, tell us about your what is the name of that instrument that you were just playing on? It's 3 strings or 4?
It's 4 strings, but it's 3 courses. It's based on a dulcimer. It is known as a dulcimer, but the Seagull company decided to make something called a strum stick. This one is called the Merlin. It's in D. They make one that's in G. So it's like a dulcimer is basically tuned to itself. So the mountain dulcimer has been around for a wicked long time. I'm not exactly sure if it is. I think actually what I remember reading was that it's an American instrument that somebody in America in Appalachia designed it, or what do they call it? Invented it, so to speak. I don't know what it's based on as far as an older music, but this is to me as a music instrument lover. What makes it cool? Oh, let me snag it. I'll show you 2 seconds.
Yeah, go grab it, man. Yeah. And you've had it for how long? Because this thing, let me hold it for a sec. Sure. This thing is super, super light. Yeah. So for anyone who didn't fully see what when Jeff was playing earlier, this is the whole setup. So it's like, it's not quite the size of a mandolin. It's bigger, but then it's not the size of a guitar either. And these strings are super, super thin. I feel like they must be thinner than an acoustic,
like
obviously, right?
Like a banjo, mandolinish type thing like that. But as an instrument guy, I just love the simplicity of it, the portability of it. As a manufacturing guy,
a little closer on the mic, Jeff.
Sorry. Appreciate it. As an instrument guy, I appreciate just how easy it is to play and stuff like that. But as a manufacturing guy, I'm fascinated that somebody said, we're throwing out a whole bunch of wood. We can take just some of these pieces of scrap wood and we could make an instrument out of it. And that is basically what this is, Ben. If you look really close, you can see the glue lines. Somebody basically took some of the wood that back in the day would have been thrown out, and they've turned this into something that is just I can't even explain it. Mrs. D, she's bought me some instruments over the years and stuff. And, she's blessed me with some 12 strings, and I have another gift from her that I brought tonight, a Martin guitar. But this thing is just so enjoyable to play. Like I've only had it a couple of months. It was like an early Christmas present, so to speak, if you will. And just getting to know it is just a real enjoyment.
Yeah, man. And how many guitars do you have? Because you're a guitar player first, right? You started. You started on guitar.
No, I started when I was 7, 8 years old playing the side of my father's upright piano.
Right, and mention like get to your dad's his whole thing.
My dad was a physics professor, and he was also a working jazz musician. He had a jazz trio in the Chicago area in the 1960s. My mother used to go around with a reel-to-reel player and get him jobs. As soon as people, nightclub owners and stuff, heard his trio, he would get a job. He was a very good piano player, great entertainer and stuff like that. Unfortunately, he was also an alcoholic. So he would wind up losing jobs because of his unreliability and the problems that go along with alcoholism. And
really quickly too, it's like I don't even know how people like can play like drunk on stage. I had a couple times where like you go to a bar, you have fun with your friends, they drop you back off at home, or whatever, or you take an Uber, and then I'm like playing guitar. I'm like, oh, this sounds because like you hit like one chord and you feel like amazing, right? But when it comes to playing in front of people, like people would be known for just being like crazy, like high, drunk on stage. Like, look at arguably the best guitarist of all time, Jimi Hendrix.
Thanks. That's why my dad lost jobs.
Yeah.
Because, it's fine. It's wonderful when people are tapping their feet at 8 o'clock, but it's funny when people are tapping
You can move this too if you
their feet at 8 o'clock, but, if you are sloppy at 10:30, that's how that works. So I started playing bongos and then drums, and then after my mom had enough with my father, she was a policewoman of all things.
I didn't know that.
I didn't tell you that.
No, you never did.
No, my mom was a policewoman in Southbridge, Massachusetts. I have a tremendous amounts of memories about that.
Yeah. And so when you were living with your dad, that was till what age?
Right around
in Illinois?
Right around. Well, we moved. He was with us when we moved back to Massachusetts.
Okay. Gotcha.
He taught at Lowell Tech at that point.
Okay.
We left Chicago area. But
if he was a physics guy, he must have been like had quite the brains on him though.
Yeah. He's a genius.
Yeah.
It's
we have to be a genius to play jazz effectively, probably, because he was a great musician, right?
I thought so. And he still kept his chops. He played pretty well, probably until his 60s and stuff. A lot of his addictions and stuff started to take a toll.
Yeah,
and everything to the point where he couldn't play. So
that's fair. I guess the question I asked you earlier was how many guitars do you have, or instruments I should say total?
Well, I don't know. Never counted them. I was supposed to take an inventory for insurance companies.
Really?
Yeah, you insure things for your household insurance and stuff, and then I saw that we already had a rider that probably covers it. I mean, I don't have anything like high dollar or collectible and stuff, except for the fabulous gift that my friend Ed Christensen
I'll pull it up
had made available to me, that custom 24.
I love this guitar. Is it a
PRS.
Scarlet?
Yeah. He sold me a PRS for not what it was worth. And many, many thanks, Mr. Christensen. Over the years, he's gifted many people with the Lord has put on his heart to be generous to more than one person.
Yeah, so this is like
oh my goodness,
a close.
Oh, why did you have to put the price up there? Now I really feel guilty.
Sorry. Well, the
I'm
price,
only kidding.
the price could be a little different. This is also PRS is they're known for, from what I hear. I'm super biased towards them because all the guys that I grew up with,
just so playable.
Mark Tremonti is like one of their biggest, not what's sponsors, I guess, but. So Creed, Alter Bridge, Skillet, the guys in Breaking Benjamin used to like have all this stuff. They moved over to LTD, which I don't really like this, but I just think I just love the cut of this guitar. Like it just
it's a beautiful color.
And this is pretty close to the one that you have. I feel like
very close. Maybe the hardware is a bit different, and some of the rounded edges and stuff. It's an older model. Mine's a little thicker through the waist and stuff, but just still has that same playability. He just, when he saw me pick it up the first time, it was funny. I plugged it in and he goes, well, so what do you think about the PRS and stuff? It's like, I'm picking it up and he's just watching me, and I didn't realize until later just how much he was just digging, watching me play it and get to know the guitar and stuff like that. And he goes, well, and
man.
Yeah, he sold it to me for like crazy, silly money.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. It was like, wow.
Actually, I think if you want to know the truth, I think he, because he gave me a candy shell case with it, which is like a flight ready case, so that you could fly with it and stuff.
Wow, damn.
So
awfully generous.
So basically, he sold me the guitar for basically the value of the case.
Wow.
If you want to know the truth. When I was looking at the case, it's like, But anyway, I know he'll get upset if I don't want to like embarrass him.
Yeah. So what's the most expensive thing that goes into a guitar? So from what I know, a lot of like PRS is like a higher end brand, and it's probably, I don't think not saying you have said this, it's my favorite brand specifically. Once again, from even other artists I hear like, oh yeah, it's a super versatile guitar, but because it's so versatile, it's like
sometimes it's the material, sometimes it's the attention to detail, sometimes it's the craftsmanship. A lot goes into it. That's the reason why, some people think it's just the name, but that's very rare that it happens because a company can't survive on only supplying people something just with a fancy name on it. If Gibson and Fender didn't make quality guitars that people wanted to pick up and play, they wouldn't still be selling, even though they're thousands of dollars.
But even then, it's like anyone that has like a good musical ear can be like, oh, that's a Les Paul that someone's playing, or this is a, a Squire.
Sometimes you can. Modern technology has made that a little bit more difficult, though. I don't know if you noticed. It's like so
all
incredible.
The plugins, man.
Like you asked me about instruments.
Hold on a second. Oh my gosh.
Deep breath.
Sorry guys, we're back. I'm just gonna make this a audio only episode because it's too much of a hassle figuring out my freaking cell phone or whatever. So we were talking about something about PRS in regards to just how they're made. So they were
attention to detail.
Yeah, right. That was the phrase you used.
And the just the craftsmanship. Everything is everything about the. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Everything about the guitar is top quality. People quibble about the way they're grounded, and so people shield the cavity, different things like that. You'd think a higher end guitar would have been a little bit more conscientious about certain things, but for the overall thing. For what the guitar is and stuff, what the intent, I think, was for Paul Reed Smith was to design a guitar that played and sounded better than the legacy Gibsons that were available at the time. And he was very successful. That's the reason why a lot of people...
That started in the 80s, right?
I'm not sure when. It's a really good question, Ben. But I think you're quite close to it. If it's not the late 70s, it's the 80s.
85.
85
in Maryland, yeah.
Wow, tremendous. Yeah, I think he really marketed himself well. Like he followed certain people around that he wanted to have play his guitars, and he basically put his guitars in these people's hands until they they realize that, he's making a really high quality instrument.
Yeah. Look at this picture of him this is him in 85. That's so interesting.
Compensated nut. Wow.
Yeah. And now he's the guy in
too funny.
Now he's the guy with short white gray hair.
I have a memory of something called a compensated nut from a company called Irvana. I don't even know if they're still in existence, but I took a $179 Epiphone Les Paul Studio.
Okay.
And by putting a $25 piece of plastic compensated nut, like what he invented in 1981, for all I know, he was probably the brainstorm behind the company Irvana, Earvana. That $179 guitar, by the time, the Irvana nut, by the time I was done setting up that guitar and intonating that guitar, that $179 guitar played better than some of the $1,000 guitars that I've played.
Yeah, because my question when I originally brought up when it comes to the overall price of a guitar, especially once again just in relation to PRS, is that I'm like, it's probably like the mahogany wood and stuff that they use for like the neck or the maple, whatever. Does that make sense? But I guess it's just a lot of things too. But once again, PRS was known up until like once the 2000s came around, they started like going overseas and making it in Korea and Japan. Yeah,
they did start making models available.
Yeah, so you would have like $600-$800 guitars,
which is perfect. You make your $500, $600, $700 guitars, and you also make, your $1,000+ guitars.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I think that's genius.
Yeah. So we're not, like I said, no video today. So I'm sure everyone can hear a little bit of the musicianship in the background. So you said you wanted to play a song, right?
Yeah, man. We were going to discuss something about you had asked me about addictions and different things like that last time we had talked. And
yeah, we had a really good time. We talked a ton about drugs, surprisingly. We did probably an hour and a half or so. And I want to revisit some of that because we kind of just started the conversation. So do your thing, man. Florida is yours.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Why do you love me when I am so ugly? I can't stand to look at myself, and I take it in how I wallowed in sin. I can see how I'd wind up in hell. Lord, your word showed me your love's eternity. Grace, I needed so much. I wandered alone, drifting so far from home, till I was aware of your touch. Dear wife, wrapped up that mama call, we'll light out of here. We'll go for a walk on the beach, laughing and loving like never before. Now we learned your love is in reach. Lord, your word showed us your love's eternity. Grace we needed so much. We wander alone, drifting so far from home, till we were aware of your touch. Why do I think that your love's absurd? Why does it seem so bizarre? You look in my heart, every carefully hidden part, and still say come as you are. Well, why do you love me when I'm so ugly I can't stand to look at myself? Lord, your word shows us your love's eternity, the grace we all need so much.
Nice chord.
Wander along, drifting so far from home. Help us be aware of your touch. Help us be aware of your touch.
Nice, man. Thank you for that. That was cool. Is that an old guy you've gotten up the sleeve, or you still writing a little bit?
I am. Occasionally, when something comes to me, and I think that, and I'm working on a whole bunch of things that still like what you would call like the beginning of things, like trying to find the correct way to say a concept that is both at the same time biblically accurate and conveys the emotion or the sentiment, if you will, that, I mean, I'm not in any way, shape, or form a quote-unquote songwriter, as you probably now know. But the whole point of it is yeah, you want to, thanks for caring, but you want to convey, what you convey. I mean, I used to get so hung up on the cliches and the cheesy stuff that I do, and it's just like, hey, I grew up with folk music, and that's just the style of music that I enjoy. The type of how do you put it? There's a structure like country and folk. There's a way to do it. There's a format. Isn't that pretty sounding guitar, too?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue your thought.
Cheryl saw Stephen Curtis Chapman play that in Manchester years ago. And that was another Christmas present. I came home one day from work, and she's like, I love the sound of this guitar. So now I get to love the sound of it. And smell the hole. It's red cedar.
What did you say?
Yeah, I don't have a dirty mind there, brother. Red cedar. Okay, what do you think? Huh?
It smells nice.
See?
Jeez. It's funny you mention a Stephen Curtis Chapman, man, because he was like a huge Christian singer-songwriter from the 90s. Writing. Yeah.
Still writing fabulous stuff.
The song I remember was his song Dive. It's like, I'm diving in, I'm going deep, and over my head I want to be
lost. That was one of his resurgences, though. That was one of his when he came back and started doing a little bit more poppy stuff. But I mean, now he's still doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing the poppy thing. Nashville got a hold of Christian music, just like the Machine gets a hold of a lot of things, if you will. Yeah. But he, as far as his songwriting, I just absolutely love his songwriting. Like the song "The Walk." Have you ever heard? Just keep doing the walk.
Yeah, but is there? What's the one where it's, and I will walk 5,000 miles just to be the man who walked.
Oh, that guy, yeah. That's what was that? Those dudes were from Australia.
Down at your door. Ciao.
Who was that?
That was Stephen Curtis Chapman.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Or he did a cover.
He may have, yeah.
I don't know. Let me look up the lyrics for that.
That was, well, I will walk 5,000.
Okay, yeah.
I will walk 5,000.
That's probably the first time I ever heard it was probably his cover.
Really? Because it was a... I should know who this is. Yeah, thank you. The Proclaimers. I should have been able to remember that, but...
Oh, I'm gonna be the man.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah, that is interesting, man. That is interesting.
Who originally sang, is 500 Miles a religious song? Yeah. See if Stephen, I didn't even know he did a cover of it. That's wicked cool.
People make all sorts of interpretations of lyrics, especially the supposed religious significance of 500 Miles.
Well, it's just a love song.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. There's this one tagline that back when I was leading worship so you know how for the outro for This Is Amazing Grace, it's worthy is the Lamb who was slain, or is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who's slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. That whole. I would always do the segue. It's that. I think it's a bridge, if I remember correctly. It's the lyrics are, and I could sing unending songs of how you saved my soul, and I could dance 1,000 miles because of your great love.
Wow, it's cool.
Yeah,
I don't recall that song. It's one of the things about some of the contemporary Christian songs in the past 10 years. I might not know a lot of them.
Really? Oh, I'm gonna want to find it now. It's gonna be too niche of a search. But anyways, yeah, we segued from all the guitar talk. But I was even thinking myself, like right now, I don't even have any PRSs anymore. You know, senior year, I got like all this money from people and whatever, and I put most of it just towards that olive green PRS that I was doing all the stuff on the album with you. Hey, since we're a couple minutes in too, give a quick you want to give a quick brief history of us, our families, because I guess we haven't talked about that yet, since this is technically your first time on the podcast.
You're 26 now?
Yep.
Wow.
Almost 27, man.
Okay.
April.
Okay. Now, I remember when we started worshiping at Light of the World Church as a family. I remember my friend Ben and my son Jesse were such good friends.
Keep the gravel. I like that. The mic picks it up pretty good, at least in my ear. I'm actually now hearing you in both ears. Sometimes it...
Yeah, it comes and goes. I notice that. Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Low-tech mics or headsets, yeah.
But remember your birthday party that you guys had? I think it was your 9th or 10th birthday. Jesse came over and we went for like a walk in your neighborhood. We walked out like in the back by the Davis's house, and all the kids came back through the woods.
Oh, yes.
And all that stuff. Do you remember what birthday that was for you? Was that 9 or 10?
Was that the Bible Man birthday party?
Maybe it was.
I had a Bible Man birthday party. I remember that was crazy. I had like this nutty piñata and everything back when this family that you probably remember, the Higgins, were around, and all their kids and whatnot.
It was probably the same year then, man.
Yeah. No, I think I do remember that now. So, yeah, I guess we've always had that.
So our families have been
connection. Yeah.
And my son Jesse, who is autistic and stuff.
How old is he, dude? He's probably 30.
He's kicking down the door on 30, man. If he's going to be 31, that's right. And
Steph's 33, man. Mariah's 31. Bethany's 29.
So,
yeah.
It's like, so we have, our families have things in common. We both have families that have been touched by disability, and we have supported, as families, we've supported each other over the years, both through prayer and actual, like, any which way we can. Your father's been more than, and mother has been so kind to my wife, and your father has been so kind to me. But you and I, when you started getting like,
I graduated in 2016. Yeah.
When you started getting into music and everything like that, I was so excited. And then when you came over to do a project, at that time, I had a functioning recording studio at my old house
which is now like completely gone.
Yeah,
so
man, it's turned into a factory. I mean, my wife and daughter they don't even drive past it, man. They don't go down that road. Yeah, I can see
why. It's so sad, man.
It is very sad. You look down and see the beautiful maples gone and the old granite-faced ranch.
You kind of have to go away. I'm like, it's not like a big detour or whatever, but it's like the quickest way to get to Market Basket from your house is right through there.
Yeah, just scoot right past it.
And where I worked for 5 years was, right on the same road. What is that road called?
Old Wilton Road.
Yeah, Milford. So.
Yeah. So where was I?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, when was the first time we got the whole music thing introduced? Because
So your first project here, this is why I want to finish this whole thing.
Yeah, sorry.
Because it blew me away. Your first project, man, weren't you like only 17, 18?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. You came over the house with completed work, and we basically finished a CD project in less than 3 months.
That's insane.
Yeah, I remember last time we were talking, I talked about one time you'd come over and you put apart from the backing tracks and the scratch vocal track was done earlier. So you had 2 foundational songs to go to. So you had the timing and the structure of 2 songs. And you came in, and in one of our recording sessions, Ben, which was less than 3 hours, you completed all the back, all the bass, all the drums, everything that you needed to do for 2 songs. Yeah, it was all done.
And Greg was playing drums for me back then.
Yeah.
Too, which was interesting.
So it was just so cool, man. You were just between the focus that's one of the things that always was fascinating to me about the way that you created, and that's why I'm just encouraging you to continue to be this creator, because what you do when you're like a force to be reckoned with. You know, when you got your focus on something, you know, you get it. You're considerate and kind about it, but you want to get it done. So it's sort of like, you know, you have a focus to it.
And it was tough too sometimes because like your sleep schedule is crazy with, you know, having to be up all hours of the night with Jesse. So yeah, sometimes it'd be like, dude, coming at 6, you gotta like start heading out by like 8. Yeah, and then we would just want to catch up for like 30 minutes in between songs or takes or whatever.
Yeah, it took a lot of flexibility. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I'm at least glad it was just the experience of actually like doing that. I'm right now I'm thinking of when I was doing the worship album actually in your basement. So that's what I'm actually thinking about in my mind. I only remember a little bit of the stuff in your garage. But now that I do, I have one time where I took a video of me tracking that song "Falling Away." The da 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 ding 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 da 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 da.
This is gonna drive people nuts. Nothing worse than hearing a guy go dingy 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 into a microphone.
Dude, you should see some of these like bass plugins now, because it's like I through Neural DSP. That's where I'm getting all my plugins, and some of these bass tones, man, are like.
That's a guitar. It's
like, but it's super.
Have you ever heard
fuzz on it?
I thought you were going to talk about using your vocals, you using your voice as a bass, and that you can use all the stuff that they have nowadays. Have you ever heard of the Beatles song, "Who Knows How Long I've Loved You"?
Yes.
Did you know that the bass line to that was Paul McCartney singing it?
Really?
He's sitting there. If you isolate it, you can hear he's just going, boom, boom, boom. Boom. He was doing it beautifully. He vocalized. Really? Yeah. I can't, of course, emulate it because I don't have Paul McCartney's voice, but it's like if it's not the whole bass is his voice, he used his voice to like fill it out or something like that. So it's wicked cool. Some of the things that you find out. There's a guy down in Lowell at UMass Lowell. His name, he's probably retired now. He was Professor Willie. I forget his last name. He wrote a wonderful book on recording. That was his curricula. Like you would, if you took his class, you would go down to the bookstore and you would buy his book that he wrote on the Beatles. Basically taking apart a whole bunch of Beatles songs to teach his budding engineers. It's for the engineer program that's down at Lowell, UMass Lowell. You read his book and you find out what George Martin and what the Beatles were up to when they did all their things. They basically takes apart all of their recordings, or a bunch of their recordings, not all of their recordings, of course, but takes apart a bunch of their recordings and shows, why they did what they did. And it's just the Beatles are a great learning tool for people that seek to learn about modern multi-track recording. Because they were groundbreaking in so many different ways, because they had to make things work, because at one time they only had 4 tracks to work with, and then they were limited by 8, and it wasn't until later that they even had 16 tracks to work with. So
that's nuts.
I know most of their stuff, man, was recorded mono and bounced from track to track multiple times, and so you had to plan this stuff out. You had to plan your claps with your vocals, with your orchestra. We have to leave some bandwidth for the orchestra.
So. Yeah, that's what's so funny, because I remember because I started playing. I want to play bass like John Cooper and Skillet, And it's funny I mentioned Skillet. I've very much, unfortunately, I've become like pretty into a good amount of heavy music. Remind me about this song "Awake" that I want to show you part of it. I don't know if we'll get I don't think I'll get a copyright claim if I keep it low enough, but you'll be able to hear this incredibly like ambient swell, which I want to show you. But the reason why I brought this up, oh no, I'm drowning, I'm losing my train of thought, is that yes, when in 2000, this is like, so I'd start playing bass like freshman year, and then around junior year with my guitar teacher. Shout out to you, Steve Ladinish. I told him I would give him a...
Woo! Go, Steve.
Told him I'll send him the album when I
Is he the
finish.
dude that taught you all those cool chords you wound up teaching me? Thanks, Steve.
Which ones? Like the...
that G with the augmented bend?
Yeah. The hammer. The bend? The bend or
like
bend?
The bend. No, I call it the bend. It's like you play a G, but you're also you're fretting the G string at the D. So it has this wicked, beautiful musical quality.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think I didn't put my guitar away.
Yeah,
here.
grab it.
I'll show you. This is my G with a bend. That's what I call it.
I might have just been playing it earlier, right? Yes, so I was doing that earlier. That's funny.
So this... Yeah, that's pretty...
Yeah, this old worship teacher at NCA was once playing these chords. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what? He's like, oh, this is just G minor. And I'm like, that's not the chords for... Little did I know, there's more than one inversion of a chord. Nice. But even, it's really funny. This song that I have, Drive Now, is, and I'll give this right back to you.
No, man, go for it.
He was messing with a certain chord progression. I'm like, I kind of like that. And he was just doing C sharp minor, E, A. And this is now one of this is the power ballad off the album. It's in a different tuning, but it's the same thing. It's...
I can't believe you pulled it off on those tiny frets.
My gorilla fingers, man.
Your gorilla fingers on the tiny frets. It is a small guitar. Just to help anybody get understand, this is a 7/8. This is a 7/8 size guitar. It's the Martin LX1E. It has a beautiful pickup system in it, but it is a small guitar.
Yeah,
that's why it has this beautiful
dwarf guitar.
This snarky. It has.
Yeah, that's one thing where you always were able to. Just a little though. I have like no fast fingers at all, even though I do have 6 solos on the album.
Yeah.
But I don't. They're more like just a lot of like I don't. I'm trying to describe it the right way. Just the way that you do pull offs and whatever. Just when you're little. Even when you're finger picking, like finger picking was probably the worst. Aspect of my guitar playing, because you would do all the finger picking all the time in between prayer times or whatever.
The Lord gave you thumbs for index fingers. It's not your fault, okay?
Yeah,
you're
That's
doing
so true,
you're
man.
doing pretty good, Mr. Sontag. Here, let me hold up my thumb.
Yeah.
No, you hold up your index finger. Yeah, there you go. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. The Lord gave you thumbs for index fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. So bringing all that back, the reason what I was trying to get to is that Kelly was saying, Kelly Koblenz, when she would like show me some bass tips and whatnot here and there the first couple years. And when I was starting to move on to worship leading, which I not move on, but I like playing bass in big groups. Like I like playing bass during worship, especially like I eventually want to have Jesse Andresen in here. And
was he a drummer?
Oh, Jesse Andresen, to refresh your memory, he's the guy that is the Berkeley guy over at Christ Church of Amherst.
I've never met him.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't? Oh, so I did a couple of the big worship nights at the Sauhegan Valley with him. I played at the Nathan Project. Have you ever heard of that? It's a conference.
No. I haven't, unfortunately, because the different things, the family focus and stuff that I've been on the past few years, and I am, just so you know, praying about my band. We haven't been together now for almost 10 years. We had to, everybody, life keeps on going. And I'm just really praying. I told your dad about this on Saturday morning. I got together
Oh, yeah,
with
I
a
heard you
bunch of
guys
my
hung out.
friends. Bunch of my friends. We get together Saturday morning sometimes. And we pray and we talk and encourage each other and stuff. And I mentioned that I'm really praying that the Lord will make an avenue for me to serve Him again in music and stuff. And just praying for the Lord to bring apart and I'm just going to be open to looking for other musicians to work with and stuff, and to serve the Lord with music again, which I haven't done for a while, apart from, the stuff that I do at home and the stuff that I do for my family and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now with the House of Prayer is starting up, your Uncle Paul asked me to play music for that every now and again.
Of course he did. Yeah. Yeah. No, sorry, that came out wrong. I didn't mean it like that.
No,
They're always looking for musicians over there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, I believe at some point I will definitely be coming back to that side of things. So once I, get my...
I hope so.
My life situated, I'll be soon coming. But no, that was... I will always give so much of my inspiration for music was really... I really was able to channel it through leading worship and whatnot, or being part of a team, and just learning how to. It would have been always nice if I at times, like when it came to leading worship, like I never led worship with like a passionate drummer. I would lead worship with drummers that were functional and did what they had to do on a Sunday, but ones that could like think critically when it came to the drums and could add their own taste to it would just be interesting. And obviously, like, drummers are so limited in today's world. Like with all the CCM, it's just like do the big build-ups and then just like know all year 3 or 4 different variations of hi-hat work, So.
You kind of could put it that way. Have you ever seen the worship team at World Outreach Church down at they broadcast at 10:30 in the morning on YouTube and stuff. I know you're probably already doing something else with you in worship and stuff, but they have, like you're saying, they have a really interesting worship team that is where they kind of like have some. They let the drummer have a little bit more of a, they shield his cymbals. But they have several really good drummers, and it's. But I know what you mean. It's sort of like things get formulaic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fine line. Worship ministry for me has always been a fine line because the Lord has used it to help me grow in my character. Because when I'm in the zone, so to speak, I can be rude to people, and I've had it pointed out to me, and the Lord used that as an opportunity to show me. It's like, even when you're striving to do something for God with all your heart and everything like that, that does not excuse you from everything else. It's sort of like, out of the way, I'm serving the Lord. And what are you going to do? Leg trip people out of the way, say, out of the way, it's like, I'm serving the Lord. It's like, no. Yeah. And I got that way. Sometimes I would be so hyper-focused on making things, stuff like that. And I would, speaking of Mr. Higgins and stuff, God rest his soul. I can't wait to see him again. He's passed on and stuff. But he was a sound guy for here at Light of the World. And sometimes, and sometimes I was a little impatient with him.
Oh, I know. Me and Ed Monroe sometimes would have our back and forth.
But the Lord uses that stuff, dude. He really does, because later you'll think about it. It's like, because you said it yourself. I remember you saying that, boy, I wish I wasn't so impatient. I really feel. It's like it's the Lord using that time to help us to grow as people. It's like, so the next time you probably weren't as impatient and stuff like that, because I've seen you do some really mature things, even when
that's good to hear,
dude.
For once.
Dude, are you kidding me? Even when when you were in your early 20s and stuff, when you were doing the worship team, you were one of like 3 or 4 worship leaders here.
Yeah, wasn't a lot.
So it's sort of like in rotation.
Yeah.
And everything.
And when you're not on rotation, you're usually playing.
Yeah.
So
getting back to the bass, I know this is a really weird weaving conversation, but
it's fine.
One of the things I loved when I had to remember Mr. Kershaw.
I was wondering if he was going to come up. Yeah.
Filling in for Mr. Kershaw. Mr. Kershaw, for a while, he took a few weeks off. Maybe he was given a few weeks off. Who knows? I don't remember exactly how it worked out, but I had to play bass, right? For a while. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I called him up on the phone and I said, dude, you never told me that when you play bass, you get to drive the bus. He starts laughing because of his sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's true. When you are playing the bass, you can steer the drummer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's just like people that just like my parents aren't super musical and they don't understand the bass. So I'm just like, it's interesting. That's a funny thing too about our whole my album. It's that like even I mentioned guitar solos earlier. It's like guitar solos coming from a bassist. So I'll have these super cool times where I'm just like squealing the string, but then it's like I have this one solo on the song Nowhere to Go, where I kind of do some like triplets, and then I just do it in a couple different positions, like up and down the neck. But it was still really difficult to make it all happen. I have slow fingers and whatnot, but yeah. So I guess that was a good tie-in.
Yeah.
So we were talking. There's one other thing you were gonna say? I wanted to show you this ambient track from this band, Holding Absence. I probably can't play the whole thing, but it had to do with you're talking about earlier about you're only limited to 16 tracks or whatever.
Right.
And now it's like, dude, just the layering itself is nuts. You can kind of get lost in it, like doing it yourself as well. But when it even like last time we talked about the intro track for Subhuman, my upcoming album for 2026 at this point. It sucks. Because if anyone knows a drummer, please send them over to me and I will pay them to do tracks. But my friend Aaron Gibson is probably going to end up helping me out. He just lives in Gardner, so it's a little bit of a hike. Shout out to you, Aaron. But even Kelly Koblenz, once again, I mentioned her earlier. She would be walking into like church and be like, oh, hey, because sometimes we'd all carpool together. And then she'd be like, oh, Ben, you might be interested in this. This is like a 4-way track recorder. And this was probably, like I said, 2012 or whatever. So the self-recording, I don't know how big that was back then. Probably not very much. Now you just have a computer and you're straight. But I remember I thought that was so cool. So what I would end up doing when I would learn how to play my own music is that I would just start playing chords and then I would record on my dad's phone and then I'd get like an iPod and play my whatever I was doing, and then I would do like either a basic lead thing over it or something else. Mm-hmm. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then I eventually got this laptop and now I'm podcasting and doing the whole album and whatnot. But yeah, I wanted to show you this song "Awake" from this band Holding Absence. That's like arguably one of my favorite bands, and it's just this very cool intro to their album called The Greatest Mistake in My Life. And so I'm going to try to see if I can find like a short yeah, this is just on YouTube, so it's like a 1-minute track. So I'll talk over it so it won't be as I don't think we'll hit any of the copyright claims or whatever.
I think if you're good if it's less than 30 seconds or 20 seconds or something.
So it has this intro piano, and then
is it morphing into a pad?
Yeah. And so then I'll skip a little bit. And it's this huge, just swelling noise. Yeah.
That's thick, man.
It is so thick. And then,
'cause I needed to. It needed it.
And so this...
It needed extra distortion.
It's this huge buildup, right?
Yeah.
And then the intro, I just want to show you that the 10 seconds of this intro. Like I said, all credit to Holding Out, since I'm their biggest fan. And so think of that whole build up. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is the same thing.
Is this something you're working on?
No, this is their album. So think of this is the intro to one of their albums. So this is like the climax. Ready?
Like you're saying, how many layers?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll re-show it to you at the end when we don't have when you can just hear it through YouTube. But it's got this really cool just like layering of just this whole like atmosphere of the it's very cinematic. So anyways, that's just it's so amazing, the power of just like making your own music and having your own.
How is it working out doing your stuff for yourself? Do you find it difficult?
It's great. I think
it would give you more control once you get used to all the navigating.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good at doing the basic navigating. Like I say, I have the plugins now too, so I'm actually like decently efficient. My whole thing is now just when I'm getting a drummer in, and they have like a certain there's different profiles of like what type of, whether you're gonna have a synth or you're gonna just do a line in through a mic or a USB. But my thing is like, I write a lot of songs where it's like, dude, it'll sound great, but in order for it to sound great, I'm gonna have to blow. How much time you got left? Like 15?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If we can wrap like in 15, is awesome.
So
got too much to do tonight.
No, that's totally fine.
Thank you.
I lost my train of thought, but when it came to producing my own music, it's just blowing out my own voice is like it'll sound amazing, and I don't know if I'll ever play any of this stuff live, but I would love to. Like, if I could actually learn how to actually properly sing and project my voice, because I would always tell you, even when I was working on my the worship little demo, which maybe I'll redo over Logic when I finish this.
Take the time and set aside, save a little, because even if you had one or two vocal lessons by somebody to see what you're doing, because I
don't know where to start or where to look.
Go down to Indie Music and see if he's still part of the Music Exchange people. That when he was up here in Milford, closer to Milford, there was a place. There's a guy named Michael Robertson who moved, but he started something called the Music Exchange, which was basically a network of all these local area music teachers. I think even Margie Ostrowski was on the Music Exchange, or she would know about it. But I remember that there was a band, the Murphys. There was a whole family.
Dropkick Murphys?
No, sir. The Murphys are from Milford, and they are all absolutely incredibly able, like college-trained vocalists. So that to the point where they were all top-notch vocal teachers. They did one of their projects was called Aqua Tenang. It's a German word. If you looked up Aqua Tenang, you would run into the Murphys. The two boys, they got married to two beautiful women, and the four of them make music, and hopefully they're still making music together. And but that's just an example of what's in this area. But if not, to protect your voice, to learn about your voice bend would probably be possible nowadays on YouTube. There's probably vocal teachers on YouTube that will teach you, or you'll be able to recognize, am I too high in my throat? Because it sounds...
I have no clue what chest voice is, even.
Well, that's when you are using so
like
much.
This.
Yeah. That's when you're basically, you're not holding anything back. You're so relaxed through your throat that everything is coming through with full force.
Yeah.
And stuff. There are three different, like I said, a voice teacher would be able to convey this really, really accurately to you. The head voices, when people can do falsetto and stuff.
Yeah.
I work with somebody. Jesse is amazing. My son Jesse, He probably, if he wasn't autistic and stuff, he'd have a 4.5, 5 octave range. He will mess around and go like that. And the second he sounds like Bibble. He's talking in a high falsetto.
It's literally that exaggerated. He's like, "Oh, Mr. Dude, ah!" Yeah,
it's like incredible. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. But so those 3 different voices, the chest, the upper voice, and stuff like that, that's all the stuff that the vocal teachers would be able to help you figure out. What are you doing that is stressing your voice? You know what I mean? They'll be able, if you even had 1 or 2 lessons with somebody that was really good and you sang for them, they'd be able to help you. But the biggest thing for me was always this. See what I'm doing? I'm holding my larynx.
Yeah.
Practice your scales and feel when you can feel the muscles around your voice box tighten up when you reach in for a note. So you practice relaxing and feeling when you relax it, and you sort of like, there's all kinds of different exercises that you can do. Like you make a face, like a lion face, and you try for your highest note that you possibly can get. So you look like you're going to be singing your lowest note, like you go, but you're going for the highest note. At the same time, you're not allowing your throat to tighten. Yeah. You're trying to keep it. So there's all kinds of techniques, dude, that, I mean, I don't keep up on. I don't warm up my throat properly, but I try to keep it relaxed so that I don't destroy it, you know.
Yeah. I remember even you were telling me, it's like, dude, lemon in your water before.
Big
and
time.
Don't drink coffee. Because coffee like dehydrates you, right?
Yeah, and the cream messes with your pitch.
Yeah,
you know, it makes it difficult to control your pitch because now your vocal cords are coated.
Yeah,
I'm only kidding.
Yeah,
it gets so technical. You know, one of my biggest friends for singing was potato chips.
What?
Yeah, Lay's potato chips and a couple of others. For whatever reason, that cottonseed oil. You have some potato chips a little while before. It'll strip all that that's in your throat and stuff that's built up, and then the oils from the potato chips will.
So that's good for you.
It's better than having nothing, you know, than like to have a dried out, stripped out, unprepared voice. You know, it's better to have a relaxed voice that is at least a little coated, like that. The spray that you see the people in opera. They go, yeah. Remember the Bugs Bunny cartoon where the guy came out and you remember that cartoon, don't you? When
Bugs Bunny, that's pushing it for me, man.
You're kidding me. It's classic. I think every kid, that's how they should learn about classical music is through Bugs Bunny. He comes out, it's Leopold. He comes out and everybody says that Bugs Bunny is the great conductor. And there's this big, huge dude that's an opera star. It's like, and Bugs is sitting there with his going like this, and he takes his hand out, and the guy's turning all kinds of colors. It's hilarious, man. At the beginning of it, that's how he does. He has one of those spray things. He goes. That's what a lot of vocalists do. They have a specific spray that they spray their voice with.
And so once again, this guy from Holding Absence, he's this guy on my phone. I met him at a concert actually a while ago. Him and this other band that I've also mentioned to you, Sleep Token. You want to talk about falsettos? These dudes can hit falsettos like nobody's business. I'll just show another quick. This is actually this is the song Drag Me Under, and they're doing it live. Let's see how the audio is. Beautiful, right? It's so haunting. Anyways, I don't want to play too much more for I'll get the copyright. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and that's a male vocalist.
Yeah,
get out.
And I'll show you what he looks like live.
We're gonna have to redo this, not redo it again, but I'm gonna have to come back if we want to talk about 9/11, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what we were gonna. That was supposed to be the back part of it. We're not gonna have time. So this is what he looks like on stage, but they're a multi-genre band. So this is what I hate this because their identities are actually unknown. They've never come in openly, ever talked about it, but their music is just incredible. Like they have songs that are metal, then they have songs like that are just piano and ambience, and then they have songs that are like funky. Like I should show you this one song, "The Summoning," which has like falsetto, a breakdown, and then a freaking jazz like drum and ghost note thing to end the song. It's insane. It's like you're listening to 3 different songs in one. But yeah, well, I guess we can end here because, like I said, you gotta go. Screw my freaking camera. I'm just gonna have to invest in buying a camera. That's what I was gonna ask.
That nowadays they have so many different ones. It's not just GoPro anymore, right? I mean, there's a whole.
Maybe I should get a GoPro camera
because that quality is just undeniable, and it has a lot of storage.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, do the research, man. You're the research king. So go out there and find something that you can both afford and that'll do the job.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, this has been great. Thanks for all the
thanks for
guitar
having me,
stuff
man.
you've given me. And next time we'll get into all the. We didn't even talk about all the drugs that we did off air last time. We talked about drugs off air. We didn't do them off air.
No, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.